I believe everything in life, people, things, etc., nature, etc., is better in collaboration with each other, with one another. You think about the seed in the ground. The seed cannot break open and evolve and grow anything, produce anything until it is in collaboration with the ground. The ground cannot produce anything unless there is a seed planted in it. To get a little bit scientific, you are here because there was a seed planted and there was collaboration. Think about a car and gasoline, the sun and the moon, uh, Adam and Eve in the garden, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Kobe, Shaq. I mean, you just think about things in your life, your remote control, batteries, your computer, Wi-Fi. It's always in collaboration with one another. It is not self-sustaining, and we can't be foolish to think that we can accomplish what we are built to accomplish on our own. We've talked about it before that vision impacts and involves others always. Always the right vision will always, keyword, involve others. It will always be you in collaboration with others. Okay, there's just something about collaboration that makes the world go round. So as leaders, we're built to have a team. We're built to be in connection with one another. We are built for others' strengths to be sufficient in our weaknesses, and our strengths to be sufficient in theirs. It takes a team. When teamwork flows, everything is better. My favorite acronym of team, and I've talked about it before, is TEAM. TEAM. Together, everyone accomplishes the mission. Together, everyone accomplishes the mission. Again, it takes a team. I'm going to get into some actions of a team player today that, if you're taking notes, I hope you are somehow or another. Please write these down. And these aren't to condemn us today, but rather encourage us. If one of these action points, we aren't super tied in, maybe just from being uneducated, or maybe we've pursued it and it's gone wrong. Let me say, give it a chance. Give it another chance. Go for it. I'm going to talk today about being a team player. And yes, even as a leader, we got to be team players. Our teams that we lead and that we serve need to know that we are a team player, that we are invested not just in our agenda, but invested in connectivity, synergy, chemistry, collaboration. These things matter. Okay, some actions of a team player. Number one, a team player understands that what they are a part of is bigger than the role that they play. I'll say it again. A team player understands that what they are a part of is bigger than the role that they play. They're just so grateful to be on the bus that the realization of what seat that they're in isn't discouraging, isn't underwhelming. They're just blessed and grateful to be on the bus. Now, that's not saying that there isn't a certain seat prepared for you, that there isn't a specific role that you can thrive in. However, team players keep the mission at the forefront. Okay, so whether you are on a team and or you are leading a team, this is important to always keep in the front the mission at hand. That is the why behind the vision, which is vision is, where you are going and what you are going to accomplish. There's a story that I love. It's about the late President John F. Kennedy. He's walking around NASA one day in Houston, and he's going from office to office, asking different team members, different employees, what they did there at NASA. Excuse me. And he went to one office and asked this lady, what do you do? And she mentioned she, oversees analytics and certain elements of operations, and goes to the next guy's office and asked him, what do you do? He says, I handle clerical stuff, administrative stuff. The next guy, handles, some departmental oversight. And then he goes to the next guy and lady and the guy. He goes from office to office, and they always refer to their role, the seat that they were in, understandably so. If somebody asked you what you did, you would probably give a pretty typical answer. I do this or that for the company. But he walks down the hallway. This is the good part. Walks down the hallway, finds the janitor, and says, "Mr. Janitor, what do you do here at NASA?" And the janitor looks back at JFK and he says, "Well, Mr. President, I'm glad you asked." He said, I'm helping send a man to the moon. I'm helping send a man to the moon. He's sweeping floors, but he understood the mission. He understood that what he was a part of is much bigger than the role that he played sweeping floors. And this is something that you and I need to always remember, that we are a part of something great. And your team, we must lead in such a healthy way, in such a missional way, that they understand, again, what they are a part of is bigger than the role that they play. Even if they know that they're in the right place, in the right seat, they always need to have an understanding that we are driven by mission. We aren't to build, our own silos, our own thing. We're not to run with our own vision solely. No golden calves, but we are a part of something great. Okay, so that's number one. A team player understands the mission. They understand that what they are a part of is bigger than the role that they play. That's number one. Number two, a team player remembers why they were drawn to the team in the beginning. Remembers why they were drawn to the team in the beginning. Okay, so let's just talk about us for a moment and look within. We never forget why we were first drawn to the team, drawn to the mission, drawn to the organization, that we were compelled to pursue such a vision in our companies, in our churches, whatever industry you might be in. We always remember why we were drawn to the team in the first place. That's number two. Number three, a team player doesn't care who gets the credit. Oh, I know this is a hard one. We do not care who gets the credit. Excuse me, I apparently need a little bit more coffee on this Monday morning than I prefer. Just to our point, imagine what could get accomplished if we didn't care who gets the credit, because we are missional, we are mission-minded leaders. We just want the thing to get done, and to get done well. The best teams that I've ever worked with, with Valor, and the best teams that I've ever been on has operated this way. We didn't care who got the credit. We didn't need to bring up our accomplishments. We were just so grateful that the thing was moving forward. Imagine what could get done on your team if you led in such a way, and if you operated in such a way personally. That's number three. A team player does not care who gets the credit. Number four, a team player takes initiative. They live with the mindset that if the trash is full, take it out. If it's full, take it out. You don't need to cause a scene. You don't need to draw people's attention. You don't need to complain and have bad attitudes about it. Just get it done. And that's, of course, a metaphor to, it's a picture. It's a larger picture that it represents. If it's full, take it out. If there is no paper in the copy machine, don't text the front desk clerk and say, hey, come refill this paper. Just put paper in. Be simple. That should be another point. A team player is simple and drama free. And just have a servant's attitude. Be servant minded in the way that you lead. Okay. Those who take initiative show that they are not just bought into their department, but they are invested in the vision. Okay. Those who take initiative shows that they are not just bought into their department, but they are bought and invested in the mission. Okay. And as a leader, I love to see that. I love to see people take initiative. It goes a long way. Those who take initiative need very little motivation. They just have a hunger to grow the organization. And that goes a long way. And let me just say this, if you are a leader that takes initiative to a very large extent, that is job security. I'll just say that as a leader, if I see you take an initiative, man, you are the kind of team member that I want to keep on this team. Okay. So those who take initiative, they say, hey, if there's a need, I'll fulfill it. Now, there might be some exceptions to this if somebody keeps dropping the ball that needs to be addressed, etc. However, if it's a one-off scenario, there's trash on the ground, don't call the janitor, pick it up. If the counters are wet in the bathroom, wipe them off. And of course, this is to a larger picture here metaphorically. Okay. The next point, a team player shows the same grace and patience that they themselves need. They show the same grace and patience that they themselves need. So do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat others as you want to be treated. We all need grace and patience applied and empathy many times. And it's incredible how oftentimes we treat others as if we never needed grace or patience. Not saying there shouldn't be correctional conversations, etc., in the right time. However, we just need to be sure that we're showing grace and patience. My tendency is to be pretty cutthroat. I am an 8 on the Enneagram, if you know anything about that. I am black and white by nature. There are times when that really benefits the organization. However, there are times that I must, be a little bit in the gray. That's something my therapist is helping me work towards, is believing that there is a gray area. I'm still not fully convinced, but in my mind, but I know deep down that she's right. So show grace, show patience, correct, confront when you need to, but be sure to do it with empathy and understanding. Empathy and understanding. Remember that people have a full life just like you. Well, maybe not so much like you if you're a leader, because your life is very much wrapped up in what you do. However, we need a life outside of, this. But just remember that people go home to much different context, and their performance, their actions could be a simple overflow in what they've gone through the night before. We have no idea. Now, I think a servant leader will inquire, and ask as much as the person is comfortable about their personal lives and care about that a little bit. My philosophy is to be invested as I can, without crossing boundaries, etc. And there is a level of keeping, professional life and personal life a little bit, separated. However, I also want to provide a place, a culture that they love being in, a safe place, a hot culture, honest, open, transparent. And I also want the person's spouse to love them working in my organization. What if we led in that way? Side thought, that the person's household, even their kids, love that they work under your leadership. That's the kind of place I want to lead. Okay. Okay. Next point. A team player brings solutions, not just problems. So building that culture and expectation, if your team sees a problem, to bring a couple solutions attached to it. Okay. For example, if every day when you walk in, it's 78 degrees in your office and the staff for the first hour is a little bit unhappy or affected by the temperature, and maybe you don't know it because you've had 3 hours of meetings and you don't get to the office till 10. Let's just paint that case, and you just don't know until you know. And so instead of them walking into your office and saying, hey, it's hot for the first couple hours, they could say, hey, could I set up an automatic system to where it turns to, 71 before, people get here, et cetera. Anyways, my point is that building that type of expectation and standard with your team members that, hey, bring solutions. I used to have a little bit of a rule that, don't come into my office with just a problem unless there are 2 solutions attached to it. And it just built this solution-minded culture. And it also helps develop people to see what others can't see, to think another layer deep, not just solving problems, but solving broken systems. It's a whole different layer. And that's how we want to lead our teams in such a way. And of course, showing that as well, displaying that yourselves. Okay, so a team player brings solutions, not just problems. They feel like they can truly contribute and that they are there at the table for a reason. There will always be problems, but not every person brings solutions. And that's the kind of leader that we need to be first. And those are the kind of leaders that we need to develop. Okay, next point. A team player speaks well about the team and the organization. Speaks well about the team and the organization. A couple thoughts here. Number one, there needs to be a sense of loyalty. If you talk about my team, you talk about me, and people need to know that around you. On the other side, you do need to have a safe place to be able to process the way through your thoughts and through your emotions and even frustrations. I understand that. Just don't let it slip into gossip or slander. Okay. But we speak well about our teams and the organization that we're on. Okay. There's a sense of loyalty. This is my family. This is my team. Next point. A team player resolves conflict with conversation and with empathy. I say the juice is in the conversation. Okay. It's in conversing with one another. All right. So we resolve conflict with conversation and with empathy. So we apply understanding. We did a conflict resolution series a few months back. Go back and watch it. But there is a sense of understanding. Okay. Just because we understand doesn't mean we agree. We can really talk about that. Just because we understand doesn't mean we agree. We can understand why they did what they did or said what they said, but that doesn't mean we agree with it. But at the same time, we listen to understand and not respond. That is a key to conflict resolution and a key to being a team player. Please hear me out. This is a key of conflict resolution and a key, a vital, essential, important part of being a team player is that we listen to understand, not listen only to respond. So we resolve conflict with conversation, and in that conversation, we apply empathy. Okay. Next point. A team player represents the culture and values of the company personally. So there's no duplicity. There's a full wholeness and integrity. So if we value excellence at work, we value excellence at home. If we value, honor at work, we value honor at home. And I think the place that you're going to be most fulfilled serving in your team will is that when there is a complete integrity, that there's a wholeness to it, that who I am on the surface at work is also who I am behind closed doors. There's a wholeness to it. Not that there isn't a level of professionalism you have at work that you can, kind of let that down at home. I understand that. However, the place you're going to be most fulfilled is when there is an alignment with company values, organizational values, and personal values. Okay, so we also, especially us as the leader, we uh, we exemplify, we mirror those values in our personal lives as well. There's a wholeness to it. Okay, you don't have to put on. It's just who you are. It's coming from who you are. Your values come from who you are. Your convictions, your brand comes from who you are. Your mission comes from who you are. You don't have to put it on at 7:30, 8 o'clock every day. Okay, it is an overflow of who you are within. Okay. Okay. Next point. Last but not least, a team player uses their voice to contribute. Uses their voice to contribute. Now, as a leader, as maybe the leader, we need to create that place. I alluded to it earlier. We need to create that place that people know that they bring value to the table. That's why they're on the team. Okay, so we create the safe place for them to speak up and to share ideas. Ideas. I went English on you. Ideas are golden. Even if it's not the idea, it might lead to the idea. I used to have an intern, his name's Josiah. Okay. And I used to be in, brainstorming sessions in my office with some other interns. Josiah, let's say he wasn't in the room at the time. And if we would ever get stuck, I would have somebody go get Josiah. I would call Josiah and say, Josiah, get into this office. I need your crazy abstract brain. I was like, where's Josiah? I need Josiah. And so we would get him in the room, and I would say, hey, what do you think about this? He would release a crazy idea, almost didn't make much sense, and it wasn't fitting. However, I knew that he would break open the box, and we hardly ever went with his idea. And they weren't dumb ideas; they just might not have fit in the moment. But I was confident that his idea would lead us to the idea. Now, was Josiah the least valuable in the room? No, I would argue to say that he was probably one of the most valuable ones in the room, because he wasn't scared to share ideas and to dream and to be innovative. And so bring those ideas to the table. Now, I will say, let them be solutions to problems. Those are the most valuable ones. But open up your mouth. There's a reason why you're at the table. And if you're the leader, our team members need to know why they are there. Okay. So they use their voice to contribute, making sure that it's complementing to culture and not competing. And just remember, don't get too hurt over it, but just because it might not fit there, or just because it might fit there doesn't mean it might, just because it, oh my gosh, I'm twisted up my words. Cheers. Try it again. Let's rewind. Just because it fits there does not mean that it fits here. However, it might lead us to the fitting idea. Okay, that's my point. All right. So bring ideas to the table, even if you feel like it's outside of the box. Matter of fact, when I look around in work in society right now, 2022, we need out of the box ideas. Even if you're a pastor on this call, get outside of the box. Man, when my wife and I in the future plant a church, if God, has us follow through with that, it's going to be it's going to be so outside of the box. We need some disruptors now in honorable and respectful ways. Okay. We never put that to the side. However, we need some disruptors in every industry right now. It's time to get innovative. And if society's ever open to innovation, in the last however many decades, it's now. 2020s is welcoming innovation to a degree that it hasn't seen in, I would dare to say, a couple of generations. Okay. Some people would say more. Okay, so as a team player, we endeavor to be high performers. So now it's a different section of my notes. We're through our points, but I just want to give you a definition of a high performer. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago, I believe, being a high performer, but I want to read it again. This is from Indeed.com. The definition of a high performer. A high performer is someone who goes above and beyond to achieve their goals and complete their tasks or assignments at work. This type of person takes initiative and they focus on improving their habits and workplace behaviors so that the company or team benefits from their actions. They are considerate team players and their superiors and colleagues can count on them. So they are dependable and reliable. I want to be dependable. I want to be reliable. Remember this as well, that players win games. However, teams win championships. Players win games. Teams win championships. There's something special about teamwork, about collaboration, about chemistry, synergy, connectivity. Okay, we want to be a team player as a leader, maybe even as the leader, but we also want to build great teams, not just staffs. Okay, I love watching people transition from having a staff to having a team. I would separate those two. Now, technically, you are the staff and employees. I get this if you're on the team, but not every staff is a team. Okay, so we want to lead teams, not just have staffs that are competent and compliant. Okay, we want to have a team that's connected and, of course, competent and in settings when we need to be compliant, of course. Now, it's always subject to the mission and not our own personal gain or achievements or agenda. Okay. Okay, we'll stop there today. I might pick it back up next week, but I hope this encouraged you at all. And I just want to encourage you to lead your teams in such a way that they love being there. I was visiting a church last week with the company I'm a consultant for, Group 139, and the entire staff. We conducted 7 plus 10, maybe interviews, I don't know. And the entire staff, there was a common thread, and they said, and I quote, "This is just such a great place to work." This is just such a great place to work. Man, that is my hope and my endeavor and my aim and my prayer, that anybody who is on the team that I lead, that I serve, says that. Man, this is such a great place to work. Let that be said about your organization, and let that be said about your leadership.